right, again, my name is Sergeant Always with the Ventura Police Department, currently assigned to patrol. My prior assignment, I was a corporal in the patrol task force and probably returned to the task force in early September. We have a copy of the map. We're looking at our crime stats map for the month of July. We had over 80 incidents in the west side area, and predominantly most of those incidents were occurring down there near Main and Ventura Avenue and down near Parks, Mission Plaza and downtown. Some of the key incidents shortly after 4th of July. About 2 in the morning, at Cedar and Kellogg, we had a stabbing, but there's no suspect information on that. The victim was stabbed about approximately 4 times with an object. Was a very forthcoming information. Then again on July 13th, there was a disturbance on the 1500 block of North Ventura Avenue, where the victim was cut during a fight with a broken beer bottle. And in July, on July 22nd, we had a robbery that occurred at one of the smoke shops, and that was in the 500 block of North Ventura Avenue, so just up the street, from which is still actively being investigated. And then on July 29th, rounding out the month, there was a carjacking at the Mission Plaza Shopping Center at 51 West Main Street. One of the other assault offenses that was reported on July 30th near Barnett Street, Snow Park, was unfounded. The victim was a person experiencing homelessness and had multiple alcohol issues on the day of that reporting incident. But those are some of the violent crimes that have occurred out on the west side of town, and primarily near the parks and near Main and Ventura Avenue. If you're looking at the second map that I gave you, the narcotic related incidences, you can see that again, most of those are focused near Main and Ventura Avenue in the shopping center, in and around Bonds West Main, and then downtown. Just a little bit.
Sorry.
Downtown in and around the parks.
I'll share this one. Sorry, I just short things for him.
And I'll answer whatever questions you have regarding some of the crime stats or some of the crimes that have occurred, or any of the narcotic related incidences that we have. Any questions regarding that? As you can see, we total about 16 narcotic related offenses, 5 of them including overdoses, and primarily clustered around Main and Ventura Avenue, and then down in the park, the Mission Park.
Just, I just wanted to tell you I'm with kids, teenagers there by the intersection, inside the intersection. And they really lose a lot of fire trolls and things like that. And I was out the other day, the police was just short time after them, they didn't even notice. They ran away and all that, moving to the west side of the village. It's finding groups and you know, it can be very dangerous for us. Citizens people.
So anytime we
have children or kids or teenagers or whomever causing any type of disturbance, we really would appreciate if you gave us a call on the non-emergency line. Did you know the number for the non-emergency line? Okay. If they're recreating a traffic hazard or what they're specifically doing in and around Flint, if you call and report it to the non-emergency line, we will send officers out there to investigate. Well, this
discussion that we had with Assistant Chief Murray after the Supreme Court overruled the Grants Pass decision. If you're not familiar, there was a Boise v. Martin, and then the City of Grants Pass I can't remember the other party's last name. But it was laws that were affecting homelessness, and the Supreme Court ruled that local jurisdictions can now start enforcing some of these anti-camping laws. And when I had this conversation and our task force discussed it, we were going to be enforcing some of the municipal codes that we haven't been enforcing over the last several years. And in the meantime, we're working with the city attorney's office to revamp what was described as our chronic offender program. And what that was, it was primarily dealing with persons experiencing homelessness and enforcement of persons experiencing homelessness with criminal court and also with community intervention court with social services, identifying the people that need help and what type of resources that they need. So in effect, we started enforcing laws such as living or camping in your vehicle or illegal campsites or storage of personal property in public space. Those are some of the laws that we are now starting to enforce and issue citations. Instead of 8 because of our staffing levels, but they were from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. 7 days a week. So if you call in on the non-emergency,
go out and investigate, at least follow up the next day. The best way to get a hold to report the illegal encampments, if it's not creating any type of hazard, if it's up on like on a hillside or something like that, is to utilize email. Email is usually the best way that we on the task force responding to those incidents and dealing with those camp cleanups.
respond pretty quickly to it. For instance, last night, I had a property owner that left me a voicemail regarding her property up on Buenaventura. And she was concerned about a homeless encampment that was up on city property. And it turns out the task force was already aware of it. They had already posted it for cleanup. It's actually scheduled for cleanup tomorrow. But there were some other concerns that she had, and the task force members addressed it very quickly. So just making sure you're communicating with the right people to get that information where it needs to go.
Great, another one for you, if nobody else has a question. 2 months ago, Sergeant Kelly said that you guys had started a bicycle.
I may have fixed it.
And we know about that, you, Councilmember.
No.
Originally, the bicycle patrol team was primarily dealing with the promenade issues after the Lost Steakhouse incident, and then primarily focused in and around.
Did train approximately, I want to say 10 to 12 officers received additional bike training, and that focus has been primarily
set towards like Kimball Park area for the bikes that we had down there. There's been extra enhanced enforcement patrol in the downtown area that is still continuing, but the bicycle patrols have been primarily focused over there in Kimball Park currently.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right, moving on to City of Ventura updates.
I'm gonna pull it up in a sec.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alejandra, and I'm the city's communications specialist. And I'm here to give you some updates on what's going on in the city. So we have our episode 5 of the True Voices. Our city clerk, Michael McDonald, dives deep into our upcoming election process and shares a couple of insights. So I invite you guys to go online. You can check it out on YouTube and Spotify, all the streaming channels, and take a listen. We also have our filing period for council candidates. The nomination period for council candidates in districts 2, 3, and 7 will close on August 9th. And for details to nominate a candidate, you can visit our website. Another exciting update, we have our construction for the new West Park State Park is set to begin soon. And just keep an eye out for public notifications within the next 2 weeks or so. And you can also check our website for any updates that you want to check out, any other information. We have, you can register for our junk drop-off day. This is an event from our environmental sustainability team, and you can go and drop off any unwanted junk. We'll take that from you. The next event is August 17th. And one exciting update is improved safety on Forsythe Street. By the end of this week, we will be installing stop signs. You might have already seen a couple of them being installed on Palm, Fir, and Ann. And as always, these improvements just aim to enhance safety for everybody around. You may have seen new informational banners around town. These are specifically on Team Drive. These are from a generous donation from Go Human campaign, and this is to help incentivize safety for all road users, especially walkers, bikers, those that are not in another vehicle. And also we have our upcoming city council meetings. The start time is here at 5 o'clock, and the next one is Tuesday, August 20th. And also I just wanted to give a quick shout out to our city manager, because tomorrow will be his first year anniversary with the city. So and that's it for me. If you guys have any questions, I'm here. And thank you as always.
Thank you for that update. We got that. Thank you. I think the sound was just a time for that. Thank you for Bill for serving one year for our city. So next up, we have the treasurer's report.
Thanks for coming out. I know it's all more, but we didn't do too bad. Let's $585.95. Well, as soon as we pay our bill, we'll have $85 left. So we made it. We made it. So if you have any loose change or whatever, you can deposit it in our bank account. Would be very welcome. God bless everybody. Thank you.
Oh, great. Paulette in here.
All right, now everyone's Zoom. Thank you. And Lori also wanted to congratulate Freddie on his first year. So we're just gonna make that spread all around. Ellen, you put that on Facebook. Next up, we have our Revite committee update, although he's seeing right now, so we can also get back to it on up.
Yeah.
So last month we had a couple of ladies came by who live in our neighborhood and very much interested in gardening. And so we discussed some of the aspects that where we could contribute to supporting people having gardens in their yards and so on. And continuation of some of the thoughts we've been having lately. So, next month, we have the Heirloom Expo coming to our fairground. It had been up in Sonoma County, for 9 years, came down here last year, and about 9,000 people show up for a whole range of talks on seeds and gardening and pure food. And I'm coordinating the local talks, and so we'll have something like a couple dozen talks given by local experts on regenerative agriculture and raising food animals in the backyard and urban forestry and all kinds of other fun stuff. So if any of that is interesting, come on down. But there's a 60-page flyer, booklet, and also there's just a folder and good paid if you don't want to carry much paper. So if you have issues you'd like to discuss in a more long form and casual situation, come to the Revite committee meeting. That's at 6:30, 8:30, same hours as we had our main meeting, on the 4th Wednesday of the month. Okay, see you there.
Thank you, Ron. Yep, we got a lot of great ideas following that meeting, and I think we're close to picking a project that we're gonna go forth on. 9,000 people at the Urban Fest. You know what? Ellen, pull up our save the date slide.
Oh my gosh.
9,000 people at our event next month. Y'all know what's coming. We had it last year.
All right.
It's the return of the West Side Fiesta. So I want y'all to.
Sorry, 1 second. Taking
So
forever.
everyone can save the date.
I wasn't ready.
First, yes, it coincides with our walk. We're gonna have West Side Fiesta at our walk, or West Side Fiesta at Buenaventura, which is the mural, the 600-foot mural on Wall Street. We're partnering with the West Side Community Development Corporation. It's basically a 2-day event. First day, we're gonna pressure wash the mural. We're gonna touch it up with some of the artists on that Friday, and then on Saturday we're gonna celebrate just like we did last year. We're gonna hopefully close off that street. We're working with the city on getting permits for that right now, but I don't have, I see Mr. Ady here. I think we can make that happen. So just like last year, we're gonna have a food vendor or two serving some tacos, pablitos. We already got that locked down. We're gonna get hopefully a couple different forms of entertainment. We got DJ from last year, DJ Charlie, and I believe we got Familia Barasa to also come and share their musical gifts. So more information to come for sure on this event. Obviously, tell your friends, neighbors, open to obviously the West Side, anyone in Ventura, even outside of Ventura, maybe have them stay at a hotel the night before. So let's have just as much fun as last year, but I think it's gonna be even bigger. We want to thank the city for funding us. Last year we got a grant to cover the city fees. This year, not only did we get that, but we have more money to actually cover the expenses for redoing the mural and the event itself. So look forward to that, and yeah, more information to come on that. Next up, we have an announcement from the Lions Club.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mary Spudo, and I'm a member of the Ventura Downtown Lions. And the reason, and I really appreciate your attention, the reason that I'm here this evening is that we're assembling a healthcare fair and a need for the entire west side of Ventura. It will be held at West Side Village at October 26th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. What I really wanted to do this evening is just run down the vendors that we would have available, and then I'm going to leave some of my cards with my email, because if any of you would like to have a specific item included, if you'll just email me, I'll do the best I can to include that. What we're going to have so far, and these are all committed, is the Salvation Army will be providing food and clothing distribution. Westminster Clinic will come and do blood pressure and glucose exams. Lions will bring our vision exam van. We'll offer spot cam eye exams, and what that is a camera that you look at it, it clicks, and about 30 seconds later, we get a printout and you either pass or fail. If you fail, that means that you need to have a further exam. So we will give you information so you can come down to our every Tuesday morning clinic and be examined by an optometrist, and you'll get free glasses. We'll also do a tutorial on self-breast exam. There'll be bilateral brochures for breast, prostate, and skin cancer, as well as dietary information. The Agency on Aging will send a navigator for Medicare, sign up and talk about available senior resources. Ventura County Healthcare Agency will provide counseling for behavioral health, child support services, and a resource navigator for enrollment in Medi-Cal. We'll have a vendor that will deal with suicide prevention. Head Start will be there. City Kids will be there offering their dogs and snacks to all comers. The Boys and Girls Club will be there, and then Read will also be there, and they'll offer free learn, read, write English. And Ventura College will be there, offering some support and information about registration and financial and student resource material there. I'm in the midst of contacting DPD and the fire department so that they can come and also be present. So thank you for your time and attention. I'll leave these cards. And if there's anything that you think should be included, just email me and I'll give it my best shot to get it done. Thank you. And I will be back on the October meeting with something very specific about, all of the events.
Did you mention the top? Oh,
It's going to be October 26th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
One last announcement, this Saturday, there's one here, the second Saturday of every month, so coming in this weekend, if you wanted to help with the neighborhood, adopt block cleanup. Over at Church Church near Pomona, starts at 9, goes to roughly 10:30 or 11, so if you wanna help pick up trash alongside of the street, come on by. Old business, just like every month, we remind you of various city service requests, hotlines, we have them all posted on our website. One of them, popular one that we have posted on our agenda, the pothole hotline. So feel free to use that resource. All right, getting into the presentations, first up from Ventura Unified School District, we have Area 1 Trustee James Forsythe. That's not in that.
Right, thank you so much, Marco, thank you, board, Westside Community Council members, appreciate y'all giving me the time to speak. Yes, my name is James Forsythe, I'm trustee for Ventura Unified, for Area 1. And what is Area 1? Well, that's from Main Street up the avenue all the way to the. So I have one of the largest areas in the whole trustee map district. So it's a pretty big area, but
Should.
we're doing a lot of the avenue. There's a couple areas I want to touch on.
Sorry.
First, we're excited that we're be looking at and improving E.B. Foster's annex. That was E.B. Foster Annex. Well, that was the Boys and Girls Club. And it needed a lot of refurbishment, and we kind of go over that. We're gonna see some pictures about, those kind of things. What we proposed, what's happening now, it's gonna be ready. The second item that I want to address is that there's, you might see a lot of commotion, a lot of building And a lot of information that is coming out in the paper, BC Star, regarding our surplus properties. And there's two I wanted to address, which is the Washington school site and also the Avenue School. And kind of tell you where we're at and, you know, answer some questions about that. So I know some people are having have some questions that I think it's just best that we have this forum for those questions. But first, we're gonna look at the annex. So next slide, please. So what is the annex? Well, this is that building behind E.P. Foster. Go lead down Olive, you will see it on the right hand side, and the left hand side is the compressor station. Well, this was abandoned, it was built in 1966. As DSA approved, it's about 13,000 square feet. It's been empty since 2001 when the Roy's Hills Club occupied it. So we decided to retain this property. Go to the next slide. Well, let's talk about E.P. Foster just a little bit. So E.P. Foster has about 175 students currently attending the expanded learning. That's just the expanded learning. What is expanded learning? It's basically after school care, right? After school learning. So during the pandemic, there was a lot of time lost to support our kids for learning. We're trying to make that up. And for those students that need it the most, we're gonna have this expanded learning at most of our sites. We're continuously expanding it to all 26 of our sites. But we have about $5 million rollover from the state. And I said, well, what can you do with that money? So we're gonna rehab that annex. We're gonna make sure that that annex is suitable for children that are part of the expanded learning opportunities. As you can see, you know, it looks kind of run down, looks kind of hippie, but that's the front area there, as you walk in. And there's a classroom, I believe that's one. And I just wanted to show you some of the buildings, what the condition is. And then when I come back after September, hopefully, I'll show you what we did. Next slide, please. As you can see, it's kind of run down, carpets are torn out, ceiling, you know, needs some repairs, you know, it's a building 1966, so it's got a lot. But we're using, you know, the expanded learning opportunities grant to help pay for these renovations. Next slide. And as you can see, some of the rafters are falling down, but right here we have the basketball gym. I mean, we have a gym, that's like the coolest thing. So part of the proposal that we're hoping to after the completion of this building, this refurbishment, is to make it available to the public and to organizations on the avenue. So Westside Community Council that option for you guys, we can hold our meetings there. If you have you know, I know Westside Community Council used to do candidate forums. They have beaches that pull out, there's a lot of space, and we're gonna make that free to the public. So that will be a cool destination, and that's what we want to do. We want to be a community center to bring people together. Next slide, please. And here's our kitchen. It has a kitchen, so we can have parties there. We can have, you know, we can do a little bit more than we normally can with other properties. And it's a great location, but it needs a lot of work. So we're currently in the process of refurbishing that building. We go to the next. As you can see, there's the bathroom, got some areas, but there's some serious help. And it's got like these classrooms and areas here. So I think the floor plan is on the next slide, or one of the next slides. Okay, well here, there we go. Here's the floor plan. We have a gym, and we have all these classrooms here and small areas. Well, if we need to rent those out, right? And those would be kind of cool areas, you know, after expanded learning is done on 6:30 or on the weekends, those will be available to the community. Please go back to the slide and see what. So hosting events, weekend events, maybe your families, of course, expanded learning will be there, and also we have a lot of the west side. Okay, let's see, there's another. Next slide, please. So this may cost $5 million, we're currently in that bracket now, as construction continues. We are about, the construction today is about phase 2 and or 3 is going. But we're hoping to move in at around September. When schools, school will be in session next week. But we're gonna be working through to hopefully get this facility going for you. That's it. Is there any questions about that? Of the annex? It was a question, it was a concern about this meeting about 2001. That the Boys and Girls Club is now gone, so what are we gonna do with it? And this is kind of the best option we've got. To support the community and also support our programs, or virtual programs like.
Hello. So is that is that your okay, that's awesome. And then how will it be staffed and used in September, or is that starting, when as soon as it opens?
Yes, it will be staffed by the expanding staff, essentially, it'll be school staff, so it'll be like a paraeducator or somebody that works at EP Foster needs a little bit of extra cash, that's going to be running the facility. So, of course, the facility will not be open during school hours to the public or during expanded learning hours. However, after that 6:30 mark or on the weekends, the normal, we'll help you, we'll open up to the community, whoever needs it, and it's kind of a nice little hub for us here. Sorry. Where's money coming from? I can hear what they came on.
Where do the budgets come from to supervise that? This cannot just have all the people on ride there.
Oh, yeah, so what money is that? We stand on a grant. That's a continuous grant.
Supervise.
Yeah, I don't know who the supervisor is. I know Laurel Dawes, Dr. Dawes she's the director of Stanford Learning. I can get that information to you once we kind of figure out how we're going to staff it, but for the most part, expanded learning is typically staffed by our staff at the USD, and they're just giving like an extra time sheet. Simply extra. But it's expanded learning that funds it, they have a grant, continuous grant from the state. Offhand, I don't know how much we get per year, but I know the program is expanding and we're getting a lot more money to help support that awesome program. Anybody else? Questions? All right, let's go ahead and go on to the next. I'm going to be on that slide with another presentation. Okay, surplus properties. So yesterday we had a special board meeting, a general board meeting, to discuss some of the surplus properties that we have. From Ventura Unified. Ventura Unified is one of the largest landowners here in the city. That's crazy. I mean, just based off of our 26 sites that we currently operate, we have extra sites that were donated to us long ago, just in case we need to set up, create another school. Fortunately, what's happening now is declining enrollment. It's pervasive. It continues. We're about losing 250 to 400 students a year. Hopefully that will plateau. We're at about 14,000. We used to be at 20,000. So as you can see, it's a steep downturn. But we have a lot of properties that are costing our district thousands of dollars a year just to maintain, and they're just sitting there. And there's two that I want to bring up here on their side. Okay, so there are 4 properties that we're currently focused on. One is the Avenue School, the other is the Washington School site, those 2 former schools. The next one is the Joint 7 properties estates. Those are just agro fields on the east side. What we're going to do, what the plan is we're going to focus on Joint 7 estates. We're going to look at what we can do with those properties. Do we want to retain them? Do we want to We want to continue to be soon out. We haven't had this conversation yet as a board, but those will come up very soon. And then the next two will be the Avenue School and Washington School site as well. Next slide. So the Avenue property, you all know where that is, it's right up there, some of you live there, I don't know. Did you go to Avenue? Someone-
Jackie Pierce said.
Did you go to Avenue School?
I guess, yeah.
You did, yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And Washington School is not on the west side, but it's important, we had that discussion. We look at that school because, everything's connected. And, you know, what we do, like, the Washington School might dictate how we're gonna, organize and decide what we're gonna do the Avenue School. Jewish State is on telephone, Southern State is on Cordell Telegraph. And then eventually at some point, the Education Service Center, so that's their district office. That's the big building really outstanding, that's 32 acres. It's a pretty big spot, we're gonna be looking at it as well. I can talk about that later time. Go ahead, next slide. So this is one of the first properties that I was talking about, this is the Geo property, and it's about 10 acres. As you can see, you know, there may be a road crossing, you can get to it, but it's agricultural field. It's I think the current individuals that we're leasing out to are, I think they're a very supplier. I can't remember who's the city currently. Next slide. Next one is the second property, this little parcel right there, completely landlocked, it's with, without processing this property. So as you can see, those, you know, that's gonna be hard to put school there. Put it on, so that's why settlement committee was created, to discuss how, you know, what would be the best thing for that property, would be surplus or to the tank. So we decided to surplus that as well. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the Washington school site, Washington on 96. It's right close to, what's the closest school? Lincoln's close there. Great. Close to Cabrillo, a lot of our kids go to Cabrillo. But we went on a tour, we didn't go to the main building, but we walked around, it's neat to see the full, you know, the full extent of the property. What buildings or what's deemed unsafe. But basically, the Washington school site was we leased it out to the Ventura Christian School. And then eventually that, the decided to move on, and they did not renew their lease. And now it's sitting, not occupied. Next slide. So here's the inside, just kind of, just go through. Just kind of like thought pictures, I just wanted to show you guys.
Okay.
Here's the hallway, so yeah, it's a beautiful school, as you can see, this is some of the architecture, so the gorgeous side of it. Some other hallways, this is the music room. Versus beautiful floors, so another kind of a classroom, typical classroom. And you see that we boarded up those windows on that one. A lot of these areas, not because it's broken glass, but because we want to. There's people that are trying to get in, individuals that need housing, tend to try to get in there and camp. So they have to pay a lot of money in order to set up a security system, to have a security guard come at night to monitor, also take care of the grounds and any other type of maintenance that needs done. The next slide. Here's another classroom. Oh, I believe this is the bungalow. So this is cool. This building, you ever go to Washington school site on the right hand side of the bungalow, but that came shared away. That was our little shared away kindergarten. Right, so Washington, that's really Indian education. We call that for a very long time. There's some more classrooms.
And that's it? Yes. That's all the slides I have. That's the end of the road for me, I guess. Yeah,
Okay.
let me check the drive.
Okay, so that was the presentation that we had, last night. Of course, we did not, we just went to observe the properties, we also went up to, the Avenue School. And what I did know, they had a big beautiful work day, big tree, right in the center, I don't know how old it is. But being a former tree, committee personally, it's very cool. But it's a beautiful campus, however, there's asbestos issues. There's, there needs to be put in place. It would cost us as a district to refurbish it to be around $20 million. We got that estimate that about 20 years ago, we said how much would it cost? It was $2 million then. Now we're figuring it's roughly between 15 to 20 million. Refurbish it, it has, it's small, you know, lesser. Where we are currently with those properties, well, we're just having the conversation, right? Typically, if you were to, let's say you wanted to sell property as an institution like a school district or a city council, we have to go through a bidding process. Well, in order for us to have a little bit more say in that process, we sent out a waiver. And, that waiver is going to the state, hopefully we'll hear back sometime in October. Maybe a little bit later, depending on the agenda. And that's kind of where that's at. So as we wait for that, we're looking at these properties, we're examining kind of the options. We're getting a lot of feedback from individuals like developers, you know, other community groups. I don't want to say who's doing what right now, but there is a lot of interest. But our board is committed to listening to our community with those properties. I just wanted to put that out there because that's something we can say during our chat. So, I won't put my time, but I just want to make sure, if you think we have any questions about where we're at with surplus properties. Yes,
Where is our swimming pool go?
ooh, that's the question. So, there is
Forget
one,
about it.
yeah. I mean, hey, you know, hey, you can buy that. It's cool, it's cool. Now, there are some discussions with the group that is looking at that area. One of the interesting ideas they had is like, oh, we put the Avenue pool there. So there's a lot of ideas, a lot of individuals who are interested in both those properties because they're gorgeous architecture, has a lot of history. And there's, you know, there's quite a bit of land on it, so it's kind of like where we're at. Any other questions, Tyson?
So should the Avenue School property is not included in the school? And it includes where the apartments are, the Head Start is, and where the house was that burned down, so that's a huge property that's available, and then. Also, you're looking at offloading those property, which is also a huge property, so those are. Community, those are two huge properties on the west side that we can really look at. So, we have the table for that.
I mean, there's one idea that's been going around is workforce housing.
Cool.
How can we provide housing for not only our employees, but maybe with city employees, with county employees. There's a lot of partnerships that we can take, there's a lot of areas we can go to really support the needs of our community. To go on the Avenue School, yes, there's a school, and then there's another parcel next to it, which is the old foster house. I know that. And Head Start is there, I think it was preschool. They're on the, you know, they're on the yearly lease, they have their own, you know, that's the structure there, theirs. So we just basically maintain the land. Oh, and there's also ideas, there's also people that are thinking about splitting that up into two parcels. And you know, there's a lot of options we can do.
And it seems like there's so many ways to, like, the pool would be, in there's so much property there with a little bit of housing, a little bit of trade school or whatever, and a little bit of swimming pool and park, there's so much possibility, that's good.
When I
So
was,
what's the,
yeah, when I was at the 7-Eleven committee, we surplus the Avenue School. At that time, I got a lot of feedback from our community, especially here in the West Side Community Council. to make that into something that involves education, right? So in selling, I was kind of adamant, Julie, I agree with that, we need to make a recommendation that was used for educational purposes. Of course, it's not binding, it's just something from our committee, that says, you know, hopefully we can add it to our own education, services as a district, or something for the community to use, like a trade school, or, you know, a preschool DK center. It's all about.
So now to put me on the spot, but as our elected trustee and just sort of as for the school district, what is the plan forward to partner with all these partners in the room, or, you know, like the city, but housing authority possibly?
I'll Jeff one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say anything about that, but there are a lot of work. And that's one of the things we're, you know, as a board, we have to have those conversations. And I'm afraid to say what I believe and what I think should happen because I want to probably repeat myself. If that happens and you don't want it, I'll leave want that. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut as best as possible. But there are tons of community partners who focus on, and I think the option we're in is, I think, we can do a lot for not only our staff, but the whole West Side. And really make it a community experience, and that's what I'm telling you that. So we need community input, we need people that are interested in these properties, and interested in just how our West Side is continuously going to be built up. And you know, how does that impact traffic? How does you know, the creating idea of proposal, what is that going to look like for our residents? That's something that we need as a community to have a voice in. So I'll keep you all posted. If that's the board. Yes.
Some people in the neighborhood of, again, to this like, hey, that's cool. They suggested that the.
Oh, I thought it was on.
I suggested that strip, dividing the two, drives in and out, could be, landscape, it could be, community gardens, trees planted, that sort of thing. So, we're, kind of thinking about, putting together a design chart. We'd like to make a proposal to explore at this stage, to explore more uses for that strip of land that would be good for the community and, you know, without a whole lot of cost or extra maintenance for the school board.
Yeah, we appreciate that. We appreciate those proposals. You have to go through Dr. Castro, Dr. Person, the business officer. They're the ones that are handling that. And of course, there would be stuff.
And then you said you were getting away from the state. Is that giving more flexibility for working on the field with the new school? Sorry.
It is more flexibility with our properties. We don't have to go through the bidding process for the bidding process. I believe is open only to state governments or something like that, local government, state, county, and organizations. So, partly, you know, this is something that will give you more say, right? Because if we go through this bidding process, most will get done, right? Then we have to follow through. So the waiver is so we as a board have a little bit more options, so you can really lobby us for the things that you. Any other questions?
No, he answered it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for that update. We look forward to hearing more about the annex in a couple months, so it's complete, and then also circles properties. I'm sure it's not the last year from the west side. I'm sure we'll be sure to get everyone out to the school.
Thank you for not causing more people.
Back, the speed to hear what public wants for those sites. But next up, we're gonna have Housing Authority CEO Jack Lambert come give us an update on what's happening there.
Hi, everybody, I'm Jeff Ventura, I'm the CEO of the Housing Authority, I'm approaching my 12-month mark, so Bill, a month behind you for 9 years. So I'm happy to be here. I thought I would use this opportunity to speak about, Housing Authority 101, basically, what we are. I found in my time here, that don't know who we are, so I'm going to go to the next slide. So our mission is really to develop housing. The other part of the mission that I like the most is that we also do that in partnership.
Let's pay attention to get back.
So go to the next slide. So we've been around since 1949. On September 12th, it's not going to be our 75th anniversary. So it's pretty exciting to be at that milestone. The other thing that's important to know is that we are completely independent agency. That's the thing. The city council owns our board. I have 7 bosses that are listed there, but what's interesting about those bosses, 2 of the board members have to be residents of the housing. I think that's really important, we have our resident voice in governance. Next slide.
Oh, can you guys, whoever has the mics open? Or all the other mics off? Sorry.
So I'm gonna walk you through the 4 components of the housing authority, and we are a public housing agency, that's how we were created. We also have what they call housing choice vouchers, or section 8 vouchers, that's a big part of our program. We also do affordable development of additional housing that we've done over the last 10 years, and we're also a community service provider to our residents, so how about each of our sector, next slide. So first, we're a public housing agency. That's how we were created in 1949. And when I say public housing agency, this is an agency where all of our revenue comes from the federal government. So HUD pays, yes.
A little closer to the mic.
You can't hear me.
You can take it out if you want.
I'm taking it out.
There you go.
Okay. I got it. So under our public housing is how we got started. That's really what created the Westview community in the early 1950s. And public housing means that everything comes from the federal government. The federal government pays our operating expenses. The federal government pays the subsidy for the housing. We were completely relying on the federal government. I will tell you that over the years, the federal government has not been the most reliable funder for affordable housing. And so over the last several years, we're moving out of public housing into some of the developments that we'll talk about in a minute. Next slide.
Nope.
So this is what we look like when we got created in 1949. I love this slide because it really shows sort of what Westview looked like. And other than Barnett Street, which is the last street that looks like this in the area, it doesn't look like that anymore. Next slide. So this is what it looks like today. And this is, as you know, Westview Village went from 180 units, which is what it started in the early 50s. When we're all said and done, it'll be 320 units of affordable housing. We completed 3 phases. We have 1 phase left, and the phase we have left is on Barnett. And the plan for that phase is for a forced sale affordable unit type. And we're working through with Karen. I should introduce Karen Clark, our development director, in the 3rd row, sitting in the audience. Next slide. And this just shows you the comparison, what we used to look like and what we look like today. Next slide. And so the other part of what we do is our voucher program. So we have housing choice vouchers, otherwise known as Section 8 vouchers. And there's 2 different main kinds. There's a tenant-based voucher. That's a voucher. If you're eligible for that voucher, you get a voucher, you can take that to any landlord in the city. And that, if you give them that voucher, you pay 30% of the rent, and we pay the landlord directly the 70% of the rent. It's good for landlords because they get a guaranteed check from us every month. But we also have to educate landlords that a Section 8 voucher holder is not a bad person. Because there's some bad images out there that we always have to overcome. But we have hundreds of landlords that take those vouchers. We have about 700 people that hold those vouchers in the private sector. The other kind of vouchers we have are what we call project-based vouchers. And these are vouchers that are attached to a project. And Karen uses them a lot to help fund the new development, because when you attach project-based vouchers to that development, that's an operational revenue source that helps pay for the operation of that housing project going forward. So this is a significant part of what we do. We have a whole department that manages the vouchers and the use of those vouchers. So we work with landlords, we work with tenants, we help make the connection and make that happen. And we pay right now about $2 million a month to landlords for that 70% of the voucher cost that we pay for. Next slide.
Oops, sorry.
So the next part of what we do is affordable housing, and this is sort of what Karen's department leads. We build and expand affordable housing in the city of Ventura. We're right now at about 1,100 units that we own and manage. Some of those will be older public housing, but most of those are houses that have been built only in the last couple of decades. Next slide. So we haven't really done this much in the past, but I thought it was important to show where those units are, because I know there's a sense that they're all on the west side. And we have a pretty significant presence on the west side because of the size of the West Street development. But as you can see, we're actually all across the city. I would say honestly, we have concentration on the east end, concentration on the west end, and maybe not so much in the middle. But I think it's important that you understand, we have housing all across the city, and I hope most of the time you don't know it's ours. Because we hope it meets that standard. If you can't see, that's a housing authority project in that stuff. Next slide. I also did a blow up with this, if you guys have the slides now, we did one. I did one just from the west side, so you can see, obviously, there's a concentration, and these are all the projects sort of as part of Westview. We have Soho, El Portal, and Willow Ranch, and others on the west side. So I wanted to show you that as well. Next slide. And so a couple of projects that I want to highlight so that you understand the nature of what we do. So the first one up above is Willow Ranch. It's actually right across from Avenue School. It's 50 units of seniors. It's 2 different buildings. It's really the gateway to that Solana Heights community. We completed that a few years ago. What's important is that's one of the first times that we set aside percentage of our new development for those that were previously unhoused. So 5 of those 50 units are folks that are referred to us for the continued care. They're either people who are currently experiencing homelessness, and we've made it a commitment by our board that we would set aside units for those experiencing homelessness, and most of our new units. I talked about Westview Village down at the bottom, which I think you all know about. We also have great community space there, so if you ever want a meeting space that's free, you're welcome to come have meetings at Westview Village. But one I think many of you know is El Portal. And anybody remembers what that looked like before the housing authority purchased it. And I think we purchased it probably about 6 years ago. I was at the city at the time. He was one of the worst slumlord landowners in the entire city of Ventura, and he was worse than Santa Barbara. And the city was really going through a code compliance process. We had 300 code violations on this property. And Denise Wise, my predecessor, called me up and said, we're going to try to buy this property and convert it to permanent supportive housing. And so that's what happened with El Portal. It's now 28 units of permanent supportive housing. It has retail on the ground floor. If you haven't been to the Idea Center by Alex Wolf, it's really an amazing place where kids every day get to create stuff. But they're a tenant of ours. They're there because we offer reduced rent in order to keep them on the west side of serving our kids. Next slide. When we do development, we don't just do development, we also try to help the environment at the same time. So some of our principles are solar panels. We try to do 100% energy neutral projects. We have community gardens. If you've been to the Westview 2 project, which is the newest part of Westview, 3-story building with a rooftop garden with a community garden there. It's really pretty wonderful. And if you haven't been, I'd be happy to give anybody a tour. I love giving tours of that property. In fact, we had a meeting with our residents who just moved in a couple months ago there last night, and some of them had never been to the roof because they didn't know they were allowed to go to the roof. So it's kind of fun to take them up there last night, even though they've lived in the building for several months. But gray water systems, walkable communities. We also have landscaping that's edible. We try to do landscaping that people would eat from. So really focus on sustainable features when we do our projects. Next slide. So as was mentioned, we are making improvements on the west side too. So we got a grant as part of our Westview 3 project that allowed us to make some street improvements. So we're doing street improvements on the west side. We're not solving every west side street improvement project, but we are looking at Olive and Barnett, some of those areas around there, trying to make some pedestrian improvements, making wider sidewalks, doing the bump outs at the intersections to make it safer for residents. And that construction is happening right now. Those are live photographs from a couple of days ago. Next slide. And I think for me, one of the things that I learned the most coming to the housing authority is we do a lot of community service. What we call community service, other housing authorities call it resident services. And this is really a way of helping our residents continue to evolve in their lives, perhaps leave poverty, leave affordable housing, move out into the open market. It's a really important part of what we do. The next slide is my favorite slide. So we don't do that alone. We have tons of partners that we work with across the city that come to our properties and provide services, or our residents go to them. But we have great partners who couldn't do this alone, and we're always looking for new partners that can provide services to our residents. We mentioned the Boys and Girls Club used to be at Eaton Foster. They now operate out of West. So the Boys and Girls Club there every day is we have now 3 community rooms, and they operate out of 2 of those community rooms doing younger kid programs and teen after school programs. Next slide. So I can't talk about what we're doing without talking about the Kids Hotel. But if you don't know, this is the hotel right by the 101 freeway in Victoria. It's a La Quinta Hotel, but it's no longer a La Quinta Hotel. As I like to say, we're the proud owner of the La Quinta Hotel. We now own that property. Next slide. Our plan, and we're well into that process, is to convert that hotel to permanent supportive housing for people experiencing homelessness. And so we are very close. We'll just keep it there for a second. So we got a $32 million grant from the state of California under the Home Key program that allowed us to purchase the property. We're now seeking the other funds. The city was gracious to give us a little over $3 million. The county has granted us $5 million and loaned us another $5 million. And we're in the process of gathering the rest of the funds so we can complete the renovation. I think the total cost of all of it is something like $77 million to do this project, to deliver these units. And I have to say, it's harder to renovate a hotel than it is to build from scratch. It's really difficult to do, but we're really excited about delivering 134 units. We will start construction on the renovations in the next week or 2. We will start moving people in from the Room Key project, which is at the Vagabond Hotel downtown. That's been operational through COVID. That's kind of been trying to wind that down. So we're going to move about 40 households into the La Quinta Hotel in its current configuration before it gets renovated. So hotel room to hotel room as a temporary move while we do the permanent renovations. And the goal is by the end of next summer, early fall, the building will be completely renovated and we'll have all those units occupied. Next slide. And so this talks about the who are serving homeless. Those are at risk of homeless. I did want to mention, we just last week submitted an EPA grant, Environmental Protection Agency grant, to help continue to fund this project, and that grant really helps us focus on things like climate action and pollution reduction. And we just are now working on a second EPA grant, because that's how we're going to help fund the last phase of Westview Village. Next slide. And just so you see the complexity, when we do a project like this, and this is not including the money that we're seeking through tax credit funding, but just to show you the kind of funding that we have to put together called a funding stack in order to make this happen. Next slide. And just in conclusion, we couldn't do what we do without a lot of partners. I'm very proud of our partnership with the Ventura Police Department. They are a great partner. We often have to call them, but it's not always because there's a crime. They want to come and be part of our effort to keep our kids safe. And that's a great partner. I will tell you, I haven't worked with the city of community development. A lot of people complain about how long it takes to get a permit in Ventura. The community development department has been fantastic through our process. When they say 10-day turnaround time, we've had a 10-day turnaround time. So I'm really happy about that. We have tons of county partners across the board. One of the things I'm proud of with Valentine Road is the county behavioral health is subsidized 40 of the units for 3 years. So they're giving us subsidy for 40 units, and they're giving us 2 case managers to support those folks that are there, assuming that they're all behavioral health clients. So great partnerships, and then of course all the nonprofit partnerships that we could have done it without that. On just a note on the police department, last year they do go shopping with the cops for Christmas. And they bring 35 or 40 kids to Walmart and they go Christmas shopping. And this last year they came to us and said we need kids. So we gave them 25 more kids, not just from Westview, but from other properties around town. And they get to go shop with the cop at Walmart. And it's a really wonderful experience. If you haven't seen that happen, it's really worth doing. You can tell the cops that have kids and the ones that don't. Because the ones that don't have a real hard time figuring out what to do. But it's really exciting.
Sure.
Next slide. That's it. I'm happy to answer any questions.
You got one in the back.
Question, where do the children sign up for Shop for the Cup?
I'll give you my contact information, because our community services take care of that, so I can sign up.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Did you pass it to Lana?
Hey, Jeff,
Hey, Lori.
so, if, someone's homeless and they come in the city and needs a place to live, what's the first place to contact, the county?
Hey, county human services agency, they're homeless, services staff, yes, or because they'll connect you with particular care. So at Valentine Road, normally we have wait lists, that's how we put people into housing through wait lists. At Valentine Road, they're all gonna come through the continuum care as a referral. And so the best first something to do is get connected to the continuum care and the county HSA department. Because once they're on your list, they get vetted through them, and that's how they get referred to us, or frankly, any other property. Yeah. Sure, thanks. Yes.
There's been some concern expressed about the young kids and the projects in Russia. Farming gangs and that sort of thing. And it would seem like one of the ways of remedying that would be to have like a self-governance residence council or something like that. That would set their own rules and expectations, for the kids and for all the residents, living there, would be self-generated, so that they would relate to them, and they would hopefully be reasonable. Are you doing anything as far as projects, as far as how trying to develop self-government, some of these projects?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So as a HUD-funded agency, we're obligated to have what's called a resident advisory council. And so we have we have 3 resident advisory councils across the portfolio. I will tell you what I'm told is the resident council at Westview pre-COVID had a lot more participation. We've had a hard time coming out of COVID and engaging the residents back again, but they're a self-selected agency. We don't create them, they create themselves, but they have to be created under sort of HUD regulations. If they have a board of 5 members, they meet monthly, and their goal is to be a resource for the residents to help deal with issues that the community is dealing with, and they become sort of the liaison between the residents and our staff. And we have a great relationship with them, particularly at Westview. It's a really active and engaged community. I would say when it comes to the kids, so we have a group of young boys that have decided to call us at Westview, that have decided to call themselves the Project Boys. And that's their little mini gang. And I would say it's not a terrible thing that with 13-year-old boys sort of acting out and kind of being tough. Our concern, and we've talked a lot with the police department, is if that means they're gonna start reaching out to the Avenue gang, which is a real thing, that becomes a danger for us. So we're really working with PD to kind of intervene in that perspective. That's why our community partners are so important. They come in and engage those kids in positive activity, whether it's soccer or basketball or computer science or anything else, give them something to do that's not that. Because that's the way we're gonna keep those kids from going down that path.
Sounds great.
Yeah, thanks.
I have one more question.
Jack.
Is there a reason why housing is not letting the residents move to a different facility, a different apartment, house at the time? Because I called and they told me that they're not doing that anymore, where you can move your voucher.
No, well, first of all, if you have a project-based voucher and you've had it for a year, you can turn it into a tenant-based voucher and go anywhere on our property or elsewhere in the private sector. And we often have people move from one property to the other. We just had, I think, 5 people move from Channel Lane. On the east end, Chapel Lane on the east end into the Westview Village too. So people move from property to property. They just
That's
have.
what I have understood, but Riverside and Snapdragon are saying that they're not doing that right now, that their lists are closed and we cannot move the vouchers.
Well, the list is closed, we can't take more people, that's true. But if you have a voucher and you're eligible to move to another property, that's something you can consider.
Yeah, I do have a voucher, but they're not letting me move it.
Come talk to me if I can't solve it, talk to you like this, so I'm happy to talk to you about it.
Okay, but the lists are not closed, that's what you're saying, right?
Many of them are,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, sorry. You want to take this one?
Oh, gosh.
You talk about street improvements and stuff, I understand that part of the street improvement
Hold the mic for some reason.
is the crosswalk at Millet with the flashing lights and all that, is that true?
A good question, I'm gonna say yes. I'm looking at Karen. Well, with the street improvement project, the will process is definitely in the scope of work. The project has gotten more extensive over the course of the design work, so we kind of value engineering some things out of it. But Karen and I both see that as big priorities, and we're either gonna fund it out of the projects. Out of the street improvement project, we're finding another source of money to make it happen. Because we know our residents, I'm talking to the public here, so now we have to do it. We know our residents at Willett, because to get to the bus, they have to cross the street to get to the bus stop. And that's not a safe place to be. And I would say too, we're working with the city, assuming that we can get that installed. One of the challenges, I don't want our residents to have false sense of security, like just pushing and going. Because that's gonna be a new traffic pattern, and so we're gonna work with the city to make sure there's lots of warning signs in advance, so that traffic understands that there's something new happening. But it's definitely on the list of traffic happening. She's gonna be the evil eye, because I thought something she can't remember, but that's okay. Anything else?
No, I think so.
Thank you very much.
Something to take it right back out of there. I sure you're paid in resident engagements. But don't worry, we report all this out, luckily we got our tech issues wrapped up, so at least posting the 2 presentations to our YouTube and sharing them on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, and also we just signed up for Nextdoor. We made our first post on Nextdoor yesterday for this meeting. Didn't quite reach as many people as I thought, but it's always an effort, so make sure your presentation and trustee websites is posted. With the community, yeah, they're all prepared, that's what it is. We take 2 months off, we take July, we take also off. But anyway, just a couple of quick updates, one that didn't happen earlier, Councilman Campos had a meeting earlier, but she just wanted to clarify something as she's reading. Read it incorrect info regarding the clean power plants. As a reminder, folks are able to opt out of the trees. They're not required to opt into this program. If you have more questions, if you know Councilman Campos directly. We did other announcements earlier, kind of just agenda there. Any other comments, announcements, questions? New business, open comment. No, all right, our next general meeting will be September 4th at 6:30 p.m. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your night, enjoy the fair, we got a couple more days of that, and obviously
Still
save
daylight.
date again, and plugging that West Side Fiesta, September 21st. Tell them, thank you.